Okay, so we are back to, did I give you one, Ellie? No, I didn't. Back to Mishlei Chaf Gimel Tesvav and Tezayin. B'ni im chacham libecha yismach libi gamani. My son, if your heart has become wise, my heart will also be happy. V'sa'alozna chiliosai b'daber sohasacha mesharim. And my kidneys or my innards will be jubilant, will be happy, exultant, when your lips speak uprightness. So we had a little bit of a translation disagreement, possibly in the Metzudos ציון. So Metzudos ציון says kiliosai is kidneys because he says the desire of joy is in the kidneys. And then Tzadigon says, translated kiliosai is innards, because he says there is no joy in the kidneys. So whatever. And then one of our questions was, what's the deal with the kidneys anyway, which I found data on that. Okay. Our questions were, what does lave mean in this context? And what's the significance of using lave in both clauses of pasuk tesvav? That my son, if your heart has become wise, my heart will also rejoice. So we said usually Shlomo tries to switch it up. So the fact that he uses the same word seems significant. Okay. And in general, what does it mean? What do kidneys mean in this context, and how do they jubilate? How are they happy? 3, what is the gam in pasuk tesvav? You can pass that to Ezra. I'm sorry. Yeah. Does it imply that the ben is the gam going on like the son is happy and also the father, or is it going on the fact that the father's heart is happy and also his kidneys are happy? Right. So what is the including? The gam including. 4, what does it mean for the ben's heart to be kam chacham? You can have insomnia cookies if you'd like. They're shakal. To become wise, right, is chacham libecha as a verb. What chachma is it talking about? 5, what's the cause? What's the relationship between the chachmas halev of the ben and the daber svasacha mesharim, like his wise heart and his speaking uprightness? Okay, what are the cause and effect relationships within these pesukim? What is it about the chacham lev that causes the simchas halev? What is it about the davar svasacha that causes the kidney jubilance? Why does it focus on speech rather than acting with mesharim? How particular is each cause of joy? In other words, is it like he's specifically happy about the speech, or does that extend to other things? Is he specifically happy about like the wise heart, or does that extend to other things? 7, how is this an ABCD puzzle? I'm not going to explain that this time. 8, how is Tesvav different from all the other pesukim in Mishlei, which talk about how happy the father is when the son is wise? The first pasuk in Mishlei, ben chacham yisamach av uben tzil tugas imo. So a lot of things to talk about that. 9, who is the audience? Is this limited to an actual father of an actual biological son, young son, or is this even about an adult son, or is this about any teacher-student relationship? Is the father Hashem? Is the son Knesset Yisrael? Okay, and then so what? What's the practical application? Yali?
Just semantics question.
Yeah.
I guess when does Tanakh or maybe Mishlei differentiate between using like lips, mouth?
Oh, that's a question we didn't ask. You're right.
Mouth.
Yeah.
What else?
Tongue.
Right.
Throat.
Yeah.
Like
so seems pretty synonymous.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on just a second. Where's the question about the? I think we had a puzzle about the speech. 6. Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm just gonna ask this as a separate question. Yeah. So what, if anything, is the significance of sifasecha as opposed to other ways of describing speech? Or other organs of speech, I should say, other organs of speech. So the in terms of the methodology, so you have most Mefarshim who are going to say that you can, these are all interchangeable, but then you're going to have others who will say, for example, that svasecha is like the refers to like the externals of speech or superficial speech or like casual speech, because like there's a phrase that when Chazal talking about like insincere speech, they'll say min hasafa ulachutz or something like that, from the lips and outward, meaning that it's not coming from within you. So that could be like a bad thing, or it could be that you're so permeated with like this value that even your lips are speaking chachma. So like there's explanations like that. We forgot to ask that question yesterday.
And I know just based off certain fields like Yom Kippur, for example, there's a lot of interchangeable ways of talking about it.
Right. Yeah, we didn't ask this on both of my Mishlei, both of my Wednesday night shiurim on Adashim Sufazai Talk. Why does it say lips? And the fact that I didn't encounter any Mefarshim who commented on it supports what I said, which is most Mefarshim don't really care about that, but people like the Malbim do. And maybe we'll see him say, okay, so let me show you the data I found on kidneys, okay, because I did look into this. And I didn't actually do the research. It turns out I asked this question last year in January, and someone gave me all the sources, and then that was when I thought I got COVID and was really sick, and then I forgot about it. So I forgot the person's name though. Okay, so it's a Gemara. The main source is a Gemara in Brachos, Samach Aleph Amud Aleph. It's actually a really cool Gemara. So it's 2 brises. Okay, so Tana Rabbanan, it was Tana Brisa, Shtei Klayos Yesh Bo B'Adam. A person has 2 kidneys. Achas yoatzato latova, v'achas yoatzato lara. One of them advises him for good, and one of them advises him for bad. Yeah. So you thought it was the angel of the devil? Nope, it's 2 kidneys. Okay.
So when a person donates the kidney, they need to like
make sure it's the right one. I gotta show that to my friend who donated the kidney. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So what's interesting about this is it says the Klayo. Oh, sorry, no, that's the wrong one. Okay. Umistabra de tova liamino viralis malo. Oh, so it says it makes sense that the good one is to the right side and the bad one's to the left. Okay. So the Gemara is not convinced, or the Bryce is not convinced, but it stands to reason. Because it says in Koheles, Leiv chacham liamino v'leiv ksil lismalo. The heart of the wise is on his right, and the heart of a ksil is on his left. Yeah. Or I guess to the left maybe is better, more literal translation. I think the Maharsha on this comments that says, hold on, Shtei Klayos. He says, yeah, Mishum dechol evarim hapnimim dechashiv v'samuch ein bahu ela chad beguf adam chutz mishtei klayos. Okay, so the next price is gonna list a bunch of different organs, and of the organs that it lists, not all. Yeah, you're gonna ask about the lungs, right? Yeah, of the organs that it lists, then the kidneys are the only one that you have 2 of. I guess they didn't think that the lungs were the responsible for like thought, like actually, I will read the price in a second. Okay, Valkane Amar Shenivru Leos. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Hold on, let's read the second brisa first. Okay, so the first brisa makes it sound like the purpose of the kidneys is to advise you for good and for bad, and then this next brisa clarifies. Tana Rabbanan Klayos Yoatzos. The kidneys advise. Leiv Mavin. The heart understands. Lashon Machatech. The tongue articulates. Pe Gomer. The mouth formulates. Veshet machnis umotzi kol minei machal. The throat takes in and expels different types of food. Kane motzi kol. The larynx. Is that the voice box?
Yeah. Oh, kane.
Well, because this is saying motzi kol.
It's the
is it
the
part
other. I always mix up the terms, but it's the other throat. Not this.
Trachea is the windpipe, right?
Yeah.
Is the larynx part of the trachea, or it's a separate thing?
The larynx is like above where the I think it's where the trachea meets the esophagus.
Okay.
I think
so whatever this is the thing that produces voice.
Yeah, I think it's the trachea.
Yeah, I mean that's weird though, because the trachea doesn't produce. I mean, it does in the sense that it provides the column of air that the larynx vibrates. But whatever,
it produces voice.
Yeah.
Because when you do shechita, it has to get the vessel of the tongue out.
Yeah, that I know. Right. Yeah. But I'm saying but that doesn't have anything to do with producing a voice.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's the trachea.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, Yaktim Kana Leveshet, like that's the whole leaning thing. Yeah.
The phantory system, also known as a larynx.
Yeah, okay, then it goes through more of them. Okay, fine. But what we are concerned with here is only 2 of them, which is the Klayos and the Leiv. Okay, so we say that in also Yom Kippur, both in Klayos or Leiv. Yeah, that's probably from a pasuk. So Rashi says, we'll pass this to David or to Ezra. Klayos Yoatos. So the kidneys advise as Halev Asekain. Okay, so get rid of your imagery of the mind and the 2 angels, and instead replace it with the heart and the 2 kidneys. Okay, so the kidneys tell the heart, do this, and the other says, no, do that. Okay, do bad things. Okay, and the other's like, no, do good things. Valev mavin, and the heart understands. Valev mavin ma yesh lo lasos, it understands what it has to do. Im yishma la'atas haklayos im lav, if it should listen to the advice of the kidneys or not. Uminayin shaklayos yotos. How do we know that the kidneys advise you? Shnemar, as it says in Tehillim, it doesn't say which pasuk. Where did it go? Oh, Avarech es Hashem. This is a Tehillim Tes Zayin. Avarech es Hashem asher ya'atzani af lelos yisruni kiliyosai. I will bless Hashem who advised me. Also at night, my kidneys rebuke me. Okay, so your kidneys are giving you musar. Okay, or yisurin. I don't know exactly how to conjugate that. Uminai shall lev mavin. How do you know that the heart understands? Shnemar, as it says in Yeshayahu Vav later on. Vav Yud Hashmin lev ha'am hazev ozav hachbev inav hosha. The heart of this people has become fatty, and its ears have become heavy, and its eyes have become covered over. Pen yira be'inav uva oznav yishma ulevavo yavin v'shav rafalo. Lest it see with its eyes and hear with its ears and understand with its heart, and it do teshuva and be healed. So it's saying that the heart understands. Okay, so for our purposes here, going back, we have both the heart and kidneys here. So if we're going to take Chazal's understanding, which I think is the closest we're going to get to what Shlomo understood, I don't think there's any way for us to like go back and see what Shlomo said. I mean, I guess the quote from Tehillim is from David. So if David is saying that the kidneys advise you, then you can assume that Shlomo holds that also. Okay, so the kidneys are the parts of you that advise. So I saw someone translate it in English as the moral seat of conscience or something like that. Like your what we call your conscience, would be like the good kidney, and the bad conscience is the bad kidney. And I'm saying conscience specifically because it's not the seichel. This is happening. Okay, yeah. It's not the seichel, right? It's like your moral intuitions, I guess. I don't know if Chizkiyahu said something like that yesterday. Yeah, Ariel?
I was just gonna ask, like why can
that I can't say.
We don't know. That's
yeah, that we speculated about yesterday. Yeah. It's just that was their understanding of the body. Yeah. Okay, so that's kidney stuff. Yeah, Ali?
Just in terms of what we said about the heart. How it's the point of understanding. I would have felt that where the mind, whether the head and the heart was more the emotional.
Okay. So to clarify, the way that the Gemara is saying it is that the heart understands, but it also presumably chooses, right?
So that's like biases to some degree, I guess you could
I wouldn't say biases. It has Havana and it has Bechira, right? And so this goes with my theory that the heart is like the prime mover of the person. That's how Chazal uses it. It's the thing that moves you towards one way or another. Whereas the seichel, now they might have held that the seichel is also in the heart. I don't really know, but like the emphasis in the Gemara is understanding and like choosing whether to go for the good or the bad. So it might be like, for example, you might distinguish between like the seichel, which is like theoretical intelligence, whereas the heart is like practical choice. I'm not exactly sure how to divide that. Yeah, Isaac?
Maybe the seichel is like. I'm just trying to like get like the whole skill, like the whole decision making system.
Yeah.
Like if I was to like draw a diagram.
Yeah.
They have it. Like the diagrams are like the endocrine system or whatever. So like I don't know what that is, but
that actually aren't the kidneys part of it? Okay.
I think it has to do with
glands.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The kidneys are part of it. Actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
See, we know less about what we thought we know less about than we thought we knew less about. Yeah.
So like what's like the decision making system? There's the heart, which is connected to the kidneys, which give advice to the heart. There's the seichel, which
we don't know where the seichel is. I think the seichel, I'm not sure if they held the seichel is in the heart or not, but there's something that can understand that's in the heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other parts of what other decision-making parts are there that they talk about?
I'm not sure, and I also don't want to bring them into this. All we need to know is the hearts and the kidneys for our purposes, and so let's keep it to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Ezra?
No, I was just gonna ask what the brain is gonna do, but if we're not.
Yeah, and they also we also said yesterday that like I don't think it's not clear what they knew about the brain. Like you see Rishonim giving interpretations about how how like they give Talmud for tefillin being over here because that has to do with your seichel. I don't know if that's like a later Talmud mitzvah thing. I don't know what Chazal held about the brain and intelligence. I just don't know.
It's
Yeah,
also a very westernized idea that everything about our conscious is like contained within the brain. So
yeah,
like,
right.
Is centered around the head.
Yeah.
They were kind of like a little dangling puppet with like
yeah, right.
controls from our head.
Yeah,
much more.
Yeah, I don't know when that started or where it came from. Yeah.
Do they know, like at least in Saudi those times, do they know that that kidneys, one kidney is extra?
No. No.
You need both kidneys. I mean, unless you know for sure which one's the bad kidney, and then you can.
Yeah, it's not that it's extra. It's that like it's that you can survive without it, right? I mean, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
I mean, by that token, all your fingers are extra.
So is your heart.
Your eyes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I it's a funny way to use the word extra, but yeah. Okay, so yesterday we had our own approach, and we started Metzudos David. So our own approach had to do with the fact, or at least I don't remember what all of us said. I just remember one thing I like threw out on the table, which is that it is talking about the that when the son has chachma in his lave, the father can partake of that in a different way, or sorry, can share in that simcha, and like it's a different kind of simcha than when your father is just happy that you're happy. Here you're like engaging in the same thing. So I found a support for this, which might be saying a different idea. I've been looking at the Gra more and more. So he says, this is kind of amusing here. You'll see why. The father and the son are of one root. And when the son becomes wise in his heart and rejoices, even though he doesn't express his chachma outwardly through speech, then also the father's heart is immediately happy. Magnet. Just like a stone that's called a magnet, when you cut it in two, when you move one part, then the other one will also move. I don't know why. I guess he says cutting it in half because like the son comes from the father, but even magnets that are not cut in half do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no.
Even if it's on the other end of the earth, that's an exaggeration. Okay.
Polar magnets.
That's true. I don't think you knew about that though. Yeah. Yeah, that's what must be what he's talking about. You see who's machavin to quantum entanglement. All right. Kenhu teva shorosh haben hanetach meha'av. So too is the nature of the son that is cut or sliced from the father. Be'is simchas libo, when his heart is happy, gam aviv yismach bilbavo. Also the father will be happy in his heart. V'zehu b'ni im chacham libecha, az yismach gam kein libi gamani. That's what it means when it says, my son, if your heart is wise, then my heart will also become wise. The achakach kol evarei smechim, and then all of my limbs will become happy. Which I thought that was what he was interpreting the kidneys of, but that he doesn't. That's not on the same pasuk. Then he throws in, I think this is a different interpretation. Va'od gam ani hu knesses Yisrael shnikra ani. Okay, that's talking about the Jewish people, and that's ani. Okay, fine. Then he says, "V'talozna kiliosai," and my kidneys will rejoice. Tzchila amar chachmas Torah. First, it was speaking about the chachma of the Torah. Now it's talking about speaking with your lips to go on the path of uprightness, and that is uprightness. And the kidneys advise you on what path to go. Then also my kidneys will rejoice, and that is the knowledge. That's another thing. What is all of this is like wrapped up in all the terminology. Bina das, I don't really know. So he's definitely taking the first part in not the same way that I wanted to say, but it sounds like he's saying in the first part that there is like a natural simcha that you're going to feel when someone who is your biological offspring is happy about something. So actually, this is different than what I was saying. I was saying it comes uniquely from chachma. He's saying it comes uniquely from the fact that it is your biological son, right? And then the speaking, he's connecting to action, but it's kind of hard because he says "B'daber svasecha leilech b'derech hayashar," to go on the upright path, and similarly v'haklayos yotos be'ezei derech leilech. So the pasuk is focusing on speech, but maybe he's saying that. I mean, I would be inclined to say it's talking about the speech of the kidneys that's telling you which way to go, but then it says svasecha, which seems to be, I never met a kidney with lips, so I think it's like, so I'm not exactly sure how to take what he's saying, but that was one thing I found that like was kind of what we said yesterday. Any thoughts on this? And then we'll go back to Metzudos, David.
So when you're saying even if the Ben doesn't express it,
yeah,
he's not expressing the particular manifestation, the particular chachma he's thinking about.
Right.
But he is still seeing that the Ben became wise, right? It's not just because it kind of sounds to me like from the way he's saying it.
Yeah.
That like, if let's say that sons of the halfway across the world.
Yeah.
And he becomes he gets chachma, then like the father's going to be like, oh, I'm feeling really good. So
yeah. So what I would go with the intuition that you're also going with, but then modify it a little bit is I don't think, unless there's this is part of the Graz whole like mystical side that I don't know about, I don't think he's going to say that the father can feel on the other side of the earth, but I do think he is talking about like an unconscious sort of like feeling, that like that the father can pick up on the fact that the son is able to have the simcha of chachma even when the son's not expressing it. It sounds like from what he's talking about that's the case. Yeah, David.
This has a little bit of feel like jamming this read in.
Okay.
To say, and I wish also Sean would be able to help support this, but
yeah,
that your speech is what leads you to do certain actions.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds like then with the verse with our kind of shiur.
Yeah.
That we'll start off with speech, and then that will guide you to.
Okay, that's actually a good approach for reconciling the two, right? And it's interesting because it's like several chains of speech. If you're going with the Gemara, your kidneys speak to your heart, and then your heart speaks to your actions or something like that, or speaks to your mouth, and then your mouth speaks to your goof, something like that, to get you to act. Yeah. So the question is, according to this approach, then what is the relationship between the two pesukim, right? Because it does sound like he is extending the simcha of the father, to being happy about the son having this further development. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If we are going to go with this approach, then would it be incumbent upon ourselves to also explain why it had to go through the extra step of speech instead of just going direct to actions?
Good question. I mean, I think the way you're explaining it, that slightly different, because when you reference John, I assume you meant like in terms of like affirmations and stuff. But that I would say similar to that, developmentally, most people are going to be talking about their values and ideas before it affects their actions, and the talking about it will affect their actions. Not that they're using it as like you're talking more like using it as a tool to affect your actions. I'm saying more of like a natural course of the development. Like most people are going to be talking about like mitzvos and tzedek and mishpat and stuff before they actually internalize those values.
Okay, so
the father's going to see the son starting off with a leiv chachma, whatever, a chachma slave, and then that development is going to progress, and he's going to start talking about it, and it's going to affect his actions, and that's going to bring even more joy to the father.
Okay, so then you are answering in the realm of why it is then saying speech.
I am answering that, but I'm not fully answering that because I'm not saying why it has to say that.
You're positing a reason why I would say it.
I'm saying like what it might be saying, but not what the practical, like we don't yet even know what the practical, who's the audience and what do we get out of this? I think that's what we really have to answer to fully explain this. Yeah.
Well, could you then go with what you were saying? I think you're just saying what you're not saying, what it sounded like only I was saying.
Okay.
Could just start off talking the talk, even if you can't walk the walk yet. And
right.
Through that, you will eventually.
So you're saying that the audience is the son?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we said that makes sense from the fact that it starts off by addressing the son, right? B'ni.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So now the question is, why frame this idea? So, okay. So we have a developmental course of action here is that first you have your, actually, what's interesting? Hold on just a second here. It's weird. See, because in terms of the way that the Chazal presented, your moral decisions start in your kidneys, right? Your kidneys talk to your heart, and then your heart understands and decides how to act. But in the pasuk, it's reversed. It starts with the heart, and then because it's talking about how it affects the father, that the father's heart's happy, and then his kidneys are affected. So it's almost like a mixed message here. Like, if this is really for the son, why is it talking about like impacting the father on like the heart level and then the kidney level? Yeah, Ezra?
I also don't think that this Chazal works out with the pasuk. Like I think
Might
it
not.
should be like just forgotten about because of the fact that it wouldn't be both Klios rejoicing. Only one of them would be rejoicing. You know, would kind of be like
unless you are, it's talking about a level where you are like you get both of them on board, you know, like the Shnei Yitzracha type of idea. You know, I don't know how exactly they view the Klios, like you can you know, if you can get them on board. Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure. Yeah, is it kidney speculations? Yeah.
I have a different type of kidney speculation.
Okay.
From
your kidneys or about the kidneys in the pasuk? Go ahead. Yeah.
This might just be a completely different. I think this is a completely different idea.
Yeah.
So it's that so that, you know, when the father sees the son's good decision making, then he'll be like really happy. I guess I don't have like I don't know exactly what leave is for the second half of the first passage. But then his kidneys will rejoice is that when his son is speaking like uprightness, he'll his kidneys will like naturally like be on board because he's happy to be following his son's, let's say, like good advice, or like
the father's following his son's advice.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, it is different.
Yeah,
yeah. That when he's speaking Mesharim, then his it's not like his kidneys are going to be in conflict about it because he's actually going to be more open to it because it's like tied in with his like pride for like his son's cosmos.
Okay, so if you're going to go in that direction, I think it's a little weird, simply because of like statistics and genre breaking to talk about the father's moral actions being influenced by the son. So if you're going to go in anywhere in that direction, I would advise going with Metzudos David from yesterday. So let's look at that and see if like the intuition that you're picking up on now could work out with this. So we read it at the very end of yesterday. Hine ata sorry, im chacham, yeah. Kasher yacham libecha, when your heart becomes wise, al ki tishma im amurai ela, because you listen to my words, right? This is going off the previous pasuk. So the father gave musar to the son took the musar, and his heart became wise. Hine az yismach libi gamani, then my heart will also be happy, kisimchas levavecha, like the simcha of your heart. Hoil umiyadi ba'alecha hachachma, since your chachma came from me. So we noted yesterday that seems to be a little bit like egocentric, trivial, superficial, right? Like, like really a true father should be happy that his son got chachma from wherever, even if it's not from him. But this does seem to be talking about like a specific ego-related chachma. Hold on just a second. And then the second Metzudos says, B'daber, when you speak, Be'is yidabru sfasacha mesharim, when your lips speak mesharim, liyasher od es azulas, to straighten out someone else. So that's like the Masorah of Musar, that the father gives Musar to the son, and the son takes it, changes his own actions, internalizes it, and then is on the level where he's conveying it to other people and then influencing them. So like that to me is the more natural direction if you're talking about like influence of behavior through chachma. Yeah, Chaim?
Yeah, it sounded like this is where Metzudos was going, but then I had an idea based on it, I guess, which is that especially if you read it based on the last pasuk, then once the son like internalizes the musar and becomes a chacham or has chachma from that, then it's almost like getting the dividends of like having to smack his kid.
Right.
Just going back to,
that's the result that the guy was.
It's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
But then like he sees it pay off and then he's happy.
Right.
I just didn't. I wasn't
No,
kind of forcing into
Metzudos is definitely learning the pesukim together. And if we look at the way he learned the previous one, which I don't know if we did that when we learned it, dabbled, right? Saving your son from Sheol. Ata. Hine ata t'tza'aro b'hakas hashevet. You cause him pain through hitting him with a rod. Uvazed tatzilo bin sheol, and through this you save him from the grave. Ki yachshir ma'asav, because his actions will become perfected. Mutav lo tsar hashevet mitzar hasheol. Better the tsar of the shevet than the tsar of the sheol. And then a lot of people last time asked, why is it not talking about the positive results? Well, that's our pasuk. Then you'll see it pay off, and then it'll pay off even more to other people. You know what would have been actually nice? If the Metzudos David interpreted this as seeing your son educating his son, I mean, it still works out, but like that really is like a generational, legacy that I'm sure he's very proud of. Yeah.
So I have a different explanation of the kidneys.
Okay.
Based on the lot, the previous passing about
Yeah.
the control. So I think when you are hitting your son, one of your kidneys is telling you this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's terrible,
Right. Oh, okay, good.
But then when you see that he's speaking Meshurim,
Yeah.
then both of your kidneys are really happy.
Yeah.
Happy,
Right.
Like,
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah. That's a good use of kidneys. That is telling you shouldn't do this, and Mishlei says you should do this, and then eventually your kidneys will see the light of day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really bad if your kidneys see the light of day.
Yeah, probably. They're not going to live for much longer. Yeah. Okay. So can we just tighten up this Metzudos David idea? Because I think this is the best that we have so far. Not that there weren't other approaches that were good, but I think this is the best that we have. Like, why expand it into the influencing other people and speaking with Spasacha? See, I think there is a thing. See, if you're just talking the talk and not walking the walk, that's definitely good, but it's not necessarily going to make the father happy. But if the kid has internalized the musar that he was brought up with to the point where he not only has changed his behavior, but is also able to articulate it and help other people, that's really seeing the good, And I think this might actually even be better, that it starts off with a selfish pleasure of the son got improved by my words, but then that is not the same type of egocentric chachma that he feels when he sees. Well, okay, it might be, but it doesn't have to be the type of egocentric chachma he sees when his son is influencing other people. In other words, yeah, I mean, I guess he could still take pride in that. Yeah, that's the weird thing. And you know what? Scratch the egocentric shot. I think the shot in line with the way you're reading it is better, which is that the emphasis is not umiyadi balacha chachma. It's not this is my advice. It's that I didn't want to do this, but now I'm reaping the benefits of doing this. I made the right decision in the way I brought up my kid. Yeah.
Couldn't we also just say that Mishlei is talking to a father who wants to get, some sort of boost?
Definitely, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Fathers want to be happy and they want their kids to turn out well, and
he's just working in life, feeding that.
Yeah. In fact, I think this also pairs well with the last two pesukim, because we said that a parent has a feeling when they're disciplining a child that when they see the child in pain, they're like, oh, I'm a bad father, or like he hates me. So this is compensating for that in a way that counterbalances it.
You're going to see, wow, I really raised the block.
Yeah, right. I'm not seeing the unified idea though. And I'm still not fully happy with why the kidneys are rejoicing. I mean, it sounds like the Metzudos David is not really talking about the kidneys that much, right? He's just using it as a mashal for excess joy. Unless you take, when he says what do you say, taivas simcha the kidneys? What was his lashon? I lost where the ציון is. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Indian kilo said tavas simcha he beklayos. Well, we've been doing Metzudos David, but Metzudos ציון and Metzudos David are the same.
Oh, okay.
Same person, same people.
I got very confused.
Yeah. Yeah, father and son duo.
Really?
Not each one did each, but it was David Altschuler and his son.
Well, so yeah, this was a really.
I know. Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah. So we're not okay. This is always fine whenever I have this. There's a David Altschuler, MD, PhD, And then there's the one who's the Metzudos David.
Endocrinologist, what does he do?
That would be awesome. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Rabbi David Altshuler of Prague. So he's a middle Achron, 1687 to 1769. Was a biblical commentator and author of a classic commentary known as the Metzudos. Where's he talking about his son? Yeah, his son Yechiel Hillel Altshuler also served as Rebbe of Yorviv and finished his father's great work and traveled extensively in Europe. David published the commentary as one work, but Yechiel divided it into two works. I didn't know that. Metzudos David, which explains the meaning of the verse, and Metzudos ציון, which explains the individual words and phrases. The two are collectively known as the Metzudos. Yeah, because I don't know how much the father did and how much the son did. You do see these different styles in Koheles. Koheles is the only one I know of. It might be also shiur, but I haven't learned shiur, where he writes as a full commentary, not just like a minimalistic commentary. So I don't know if that indicates a different authorship or not. But anyway, yeah. So they don't seem, so the only other clue we haven't really incorporated is Tavas Asimcha Hi B'Klayos. Now that just could be like La'afuke Chazal's interpretation. Like if you knew Chazal, you would say, oh, the kidneys are the things advising you in moral intuition. And Metzudos ציון is saying this. It's like, no. It just means that's where you get your simple desire from. What's up with this today? Yeah.
Unplugged replug is nearly undefeated.
Yeah.
Just in general, yeah.
Second only is very often turned back on.
I can't see it.
Although I will say this, the LG screen, like the white dot that shows that it's on,
Yeah.
is like
So that might be a power thing.
off for like a second. So it could be-
Anyway, Isaac, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say that it's not Lafuke Chazal interpretation, but I think based on what we're talking about, like kidneys, I think it makes sense that like your kidneys kind of like want like gratification.
Yeah.
And like it's extremely ungratifying to be hitting your kid, and your kid is crying and says, I'm gonna hate you forever, and you're not getting any positive feelings.
Yeah.
But it's saying, in the end you will,
Okay, I hear that. Although kidneys wanting gratification, I don't know if that's the same thing as Tavas Simcha. Simcha to me, I'm not sure. But Chaim, going on your approach, I think we can say that if this is talking about the normal, selfish, egocentric satisfaction that a father has, you know what gives you real satisfaction? When you see your kid doing the same thing that you did. When you see him speaking words of Musar to other people. So not only did you improve your kid, but you produce someone who is who himself teaches Musar, and that's like a satisfying thing. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know if you want carbon copy, but you definitely want someone who's yeah. There's definitely an identification there. All right. Okay. Another shot, completely different approach, which is just, it's not, I don't even think we can get a whole period on the puzzle from this. Just something interesting I saw is in the Rid. He says one little thing. B'ni, top left, Im chacham libecha, Shlomo omer oso b'makom avi haben. Shlomo is saying this in place of the avi haben. Okay, so this is Shlomo talking to us, right? Now, I've had this idea before of like Shlomo's like the surrogate father. Like most, unfortunately, most people statistically don't get this type of education from their fathers. So Shlomo has to like step in and do this for Klal Yisrael. But the interesting thing about it is it's saying it's going to make Shlomo happy, right? So what's the idea there?
Isn't there a Gemara like when you quote someone's Torah, like isn't scar?
There is that. Yeah, their lips move. Oh, lips. And their kidneys. Yeah.
I wonder if it's similar, like even though he's not around, just by us furthering his,
Yeah, you could take that approach. Yeah, I'm personally inclined to look for a more Mishlaic approach. Yeah, Ezra.
You could have a super ego that doesn't live on.
Exactly.
And, you want to make them proud.
Yeah.
And you think that he sees what you're looking down on.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Is that there is a super ego or ego ideal of that you can have, and most of the time it's someone who's in your life, but it could be someone who's not. And I definitely know I have Shlomo HaMelech as an ego ideal, and again, like leaning into that, we were talking last night about how dangerous it is. I feel like we talked about it last night and maybe in the Q&A, how dangerous it is to prematurely cut off your lolishmas. And so having, as long as your super ego is healthy, like is someone who like is actually worth looking up to, it's totally fine to have that and embrace it, and it's funny. Let's see how sheltered you are. Anyone know what the acronym WWJD stands for?
WWJD.
Worldwide.
No. So this is a big thing in communities like where I grew up, in evangelical Christian community. What would Jesus do? Right, it's a bumper sticker that they have. They have it on necklaces, bracelets, shirts. So that's like the Christian way of like asking in every situation, what would Jesus do? Now what's our version of this? Lahavdil. Yeah, what would God do? Right. So the way that the Torah formulates the mitzvah of having good midos is not just saying have good midos, it's the halachta bidrachav, walk in his ways, and so having without even going into depth, there's something in the psyche that like needs a personified form of the ideal behavior, and Shlomo HaMelech is like a good stand-in for that, and like it is. I think this comment of the Rid is like opening up that, like it's endorsing that derech of relating to Shlomo as your surrogate father. Just an interesting approach.
Talk to my king. He's the king.
Yeah. Okay. I must not get the joke.
This is like a song.
Oh, is this a song? Okay.
Oh, that's like a bit now.
Oh yeah.
But it was just funny.
Interesting. I saw another thing inside you going that I didn't know what to make of, and it almost makes me think that there's a corruption in the text because it doesn't read right. Hold on a second. Okay, so it says Shadal Espino. So he No, Shadal is so I know in rabbinic Hebrew it means like hishtadlus is to strive, but I think in biblical Hebrew this might not even be biblical shorish. Give me 1 second. No, not Shadal Yisodei Torah, which I actually just ordered on Amazon. I didn't know he wrote a Yisodei Torah thing. I ordered on Amazon for $10 in English. Translation of his. He wrote a like, this is my Yisodei Torah. So it came yesterday. I haven't read it yet. Okay, hold on. Let's just see what this word means. Now, he might not even be using it in a biblical Hebrew sense. No, it's not a biblical Hebrew word. Yeah, so I think it can also be used to direct or motivate or guide. Like the Rambam says in his mashal with the candy and the clothing and the shoes, he says mashadalim oso v'davar biyoser or something like that. Like we motivate him. So Shadal Espino, he guided his son v'gam es mi shema'amid b'makom b'mada, and also someone who is taking his place in knowledge. So I think that is saying that this could be a Talmud. What was that? Yeah. V'amrlo, yes, dude. V'amrlo, he said to him, Lamed, learn, ki yesh li alecha chovos, because I have obligations upon you. Ha'echad, one, shetasis es libi utasamcheni, that you make my heart rejoice and happy. V'hinni omer lecha ki chachmascha samachti hagdola, simchasi hagdola. Oh, is this? And I'm telling you that your chachma is my great simcha. Therefore, he's joining this objective with the other strivings in learning. I don't know what I can't translate this. And he furthermore says, if I'm the one who benefits you, then I will also be happy. All the more so you will be happy. P kama mimeni. You are Roy to be even happier than I am. Yeah, I think the only thing that drew me to this is he's saying that this is also about a non-biological son. So we have like, yeah, but I don't know what the idea is. Yeah, so what do we walk away with this from? I'm not entirely satisfied. Metzudos David does sound like an approach, is that it's directed at the father, right? And saying that this is your payoff for hitting your kid and going through the pain, the kidney pain of like going against your moral intuition of like causing your kid pain. It's going to pay off and you're going to be really happy. either because of the magnet phenomenon of the gra, or because you see the kid like doing right actions. And not only that, but like the pinnacle of the success is when you see the kid internalizing this and being able to talk about it intelligently and guiding others, and they'll be even happier, you know? So that's like what you should have in mind. So I think this goes back with what you were saying last week about like having in mind like the long game and like the resilience of like, I'm doing this knowing that 10 years in the future, then this is going to be worth it. And this is how it's going to be worth it. But hard to see an independent idea here. Yeah.
I guess on the point of like the list being uprightness.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that could be to the idea of the Metzudos of like speaking to other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would explain why it's like nature. Like it doesn't really make sense. Like to say that like what does it mean to speak uprightness? But if you're saying that it's a giving like giving like Muslim to other people.
Yeah.
Then like he's
Straining them out.
yeah, kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like
I think so also.
He's like I'm seeing it like and it's funny because it's not like what he's talking about, but I'm seeing it like the you know, like have you watched like Monty Python?
I know of it, but yeah.
So in one of them, there's like those like you know those guys like in the street and like
Yeah.
like I don't really call them like
The world is ending type people, or
kind of but like
Okay.
yeah like the yeah you know whatever smart. It's not what he's talking about.
okay. Thumbs up. All right. So if we think of anything more, then let me know. I also looked through them apart. I couldn't find anything that was like, you know, but maybe there's something there that we missed. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep.